Tonight on the agenda, we are live and we're talking about a prison the state insists on calling community corrections. The Plummer Community Corrections Center in Wilmington is where men finishing their sentences sleep at night so they can work during the day, see their families on the weekends, and try to stitch back a life together before the doors finally open for good. It's work release, it's treatment, it's reentry, sitting in the middle of the city, and that has paid for mass incarceration. The Delaware Department of Correction says the math doesn't math anymore. Decades of long decline in the community, correction numbers, too many empty beds, and the high cost of the century-old building. So the plan is simple. Close the Plummer Center by March of 2026, move everyone to other facilities downstate or onto electric monitoring, transfer the staff, and save millions of dollars. Every year, that's what the plan is. They're going to make new investments on rehabilitation. The decisions announced that the problem's solved, but Wilmington said, well, the math doesn't math anymore either. Former residents and employers and families call the Plummer Center a beacon for people trying to come home. There are warnings and closings that it will blow up stable jobs, cut off easy access for kids and partners, and rip a reliable workforce out of the city. Lawmakers are now openly questioning the move, hinting that the state budget itself might be where this fight gets settled. Our guest tonight is Councilwoman Shané Darby, of the Wilmington 2nd District, the founder of Black Mothers in Power, a two-term council member who has built her career around housing justice, Black maternal health, and rolling power back towards the working class families. She's been on the front line saying this. You don't strengthen reentry in Wilmington by exporting reentry out of Wilmington. So tonight, we're asking a hard question with real consequences. When the state shuts down a reentry lifeline in the middle of your city, is that the public safety, or is it just balancing the books on the backs of the people who are trying to come home? I'm Kerwin Gaines, and this is The Agenda. Welcome, Councilwoman Darby, to The Agenda for the first time.
Yes, I'm happy to be here and to have this conversation. It's really important to the city of Wilmington. So.
It is important to the city of Wilmington. You have made comments before. I watched your press conference outside of the Plummer Center.
Yes.
I saw the cars lined up because they were ready for a riot, I guess. That's what would happen.
I was like, what?
The state cars were lined up, blocking the doors. I said, wow, this is going to be interesting.
Yes.
So I'm excited that you're on the show tonight. We've kind of put some teasers out there for people to hear. We're going to have a live segment for folks to call in.
Yes, I love that.
Towards the end of the show. Not right now. Let's get some facts out. Let's start to know a little bit about where you're coming from. I'll tell you my opinion.
Okay,
That's
I
the
love
best
it.
part about it.
Yes.
But when it comes to the Plummer Center closing, I wasn't surprised.
Okay.
Right? It's not because, oh, well, Kerwin, you're in the know. You may know about these things. No, I wasn't surprised because I truly believe that corrections is changing in our country, right? Sometimes it's changing for the worse. Sometimes it's changing for the better.
Yeah.
But at the same time that's changing, Wilmington is changing.
Yes.
Wilmington has made progress in regards to property. Some people call it gentrification. Some people call it progress. However you want to look at it, the landscape of Wilmington does not look like what it did 10 years ago.
Correct.
Fair?
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
Yep.
So in order to sustain that, we need to make some changes. And if it's taking a very old prison structure out of Wilmington, I understand what they're trying to do.
Right.
But I understand where you're coming from. Well, you know what? Kerwin is more than that, right? Mm-hmm. It's more than just taking a building out and balancing the numbers. You're on council, you know about the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's just the numbers.
Yeah.
The numbers are what they are. There's a backside to this.
Mm-hmm.
People are being maybe shifted downstate, maybe this, maybe that, and that's not beneficial to the reentry program. Mm-hmm. Am I wrong in my thoughts?
I don't think you're wrong in your thoughts, and I want to kind of back it up a little bit too, because I think the conversation starts with everyone was not at the table for when this decision was made. right? I did do a FOIA request to figure out who was at the table, but by the time city council found out, the decision has been made. They already started transferring people down to Sussex. And I'm like, how do you make a decision about the city of Wilmington and not include the city of Wilmington, right? So that right there was a slap in the face, and I think very disrespectful on every end of the state to make a decision that major and not include at least the elected officials or at least the city council representative for that area, because Councilmember Kobe Owens is the representative for District 1. I'm literally Pete's Pizza, which is 27th Street, so I'm about 3-4 blocks away from the Plummer Center, but it's still close by in the north side of Wilmington, and that's how it was impacted. So I wanted to rewind there to say that we didn't even know. Right? And by the time we got the news, we found out from community people. We found out from residents. We didn't even find out from, the DOC sent the message. There was a message sent to us. It was from the community. And that is disheartening because it's the constant, for me, disrespect to the city of Wilmington in general. And one thing about the city of Wilmington, I need people to understand that the city of Wilmington is the heart of Delaware. We produce the largest revenue economically, culturally. Wilmington is the heart of Delaware. And we keep extracting from the heart. We keep taking resources out of the heart. Gentrification, even if that isn't a racial thing, economically, financially, there's a gentrification process happening in our city. We have property taxes increasing, water increasing. We have Delmarva. We have all of these things happen. Homelessness is increasing in the city of Wilmington. And then they keep extracting resources. And what I'm saying is stop extracting resources from the city of Wilmington. And the conversation is not, the Plummer Center isn't perfect. Okay? There's a lot of work that needs to happen around work release. But pulling the Plummer Center out of the city of Wilmington, we're losing a resource. And the majority of people who are incarcerated are Wilmingtonians. The majority of people who are incarcerated are Black and brown people in the city, in the state of Delaware, nationwide actually, right? So when we have that conversation, we talk about who is being incarcerated, and then we understand why incarceration is high for Black men, and we understand why all of that, understanding the 13th Amendment, the history of this country and what has happened, then we understand why the need, and all national data explains that for you to have successful reentry, to increase it, stay close to home, stay close to your support system, stay close to where you're going to be when your work release is over, not to go 2 hours away. That makes no sense. And then we want to talk about culture. That is another piece for me, is the culture. Sussex County, not saying that, I want to put this out here. I think all of the criminal justice system, I think it's all based on capitalism, racism. I think it's based on all of that. But when you look at the 13th Amendment, when slavery transferred, because don't say it abolished because it did not. When you look at what the 13th Amendment says, it says slavery will not take place except if you commit a crime, right? So slavery never ended. It just transferred to a new system. So when we have the criminal justice system that we see today, it is a product of that 13th Amendment. And then that's when Black people, specifically Black men, were now targeted. So you have this mass incarceration of this new modern day slavery.
Okay. Before we go down and dealing with the 13th Amendment and all these other things, let's back it up just a little bit, Councilwoman. Let's deal with the Plummer Center. I understand its existence and why it is needed. But is it true that the census for the Plummer Center is down dramatically? It is.
It is down dramatically. So the numbers are down. So those are truths. But what the DOC isn't talking about is COVID, right? We have to understand what happened during COVID. The numbers went down because there were practices that were put in place to make the numbers go down, right?
So there were some things that we did that I don't know if we would call them successful, but they have decreased the numbers of bodies into the Plummer Center. Is it also accurate that the building itself, the structure, right, is old and dilapidated in some points?
I would say
it needed repair.
I would say it is not a ran down building. I went and did a tour. It's not a ran down building. It's like things aren't like, the roof isn't like falling off. It's not, it actually looks pretty decent on the outside structure of what I could see.
But for the most part, the city of Wilmington is only assuming when it comes to that because they're not getting the maintenance bills, so to speak.
Correct.
And have to deal with the upkeep of that building. That comes out of the state budget.
That comes out of the state budget, correct. So when I went to go do a visit, I'm thinking I'm going to see something that is like walking through a horror movie or something. It is not that at all. Is it an older building? Yes. Some of the other DLC buildings are older buildings too, that they're moving them to down in Georgetown and Sussex County. That's another conversation to have. So they'll say that, but they're also not talking about the ages and the renovation needs that need to happen in the other buildings that they want to move Wilmington folks to, or Wilmington based residents. So that is, all of those things are true. Numbers went down. But you have to, when you're a researcher and when you're giving data, you cannot not talk about COVID. You have to talk about the impacts of COVID. And in any industry, after COVID, what went back to pre-COVID? Everything had to be revamped. You know, Amazon had to, cable had to look at, everybody had to revamp how they live.
So during COVID, they went to a lot of electric monitoring. I think that's fair to say, right? Okay, we agree. So if they're going to electric monitoring, and that electric monitoring has been successful, right, in helping folks going through the reentry process, why would we want to put them back into a facility?
They have not provided data on how many people have addresses to go to. So for you to have electronic monitoring, you have to have a residence. The majority of men who are coming home, based on what I have in regards to national data, the percentage of people who have an address is very low. I asked the DOC for that information. They still have not provided. What is the data? What is the percentage of people who are coming home, specifically men? What is the percentage of who has a stable address to come home to? So if the majority, because since I don't have Delaware data, I can only go off of national data, which we usually follow the trends. The pattern is that majority of people who come home don't have a stable home. So if you don't have a stable home, you can't go home on an electronic monitoring. You have to go into a level 4 facility.
Okay, so if they do not have stable residence, right, which is so many other Americans right now with the housing crisis that's going on, with the lack of rent stabilization and all these other things, it makes it very, very hard to have that residence. But and I understand the Plummer Center's role in that, but to me, as someone, I think, and like yourself, who pay a tremendous amount in taxes, paying for reentry programs is, I'm going to be honest with you, it's not really high on my list of things that we need to deal with. I know the state's budget. I know the downfalls that we're having just in healthcare alone and balancing that. Honestly, I've read the comments that we have from our post, and a lot of the citizens of the city and throughout the state agree, that's not my problem, right? So what would you say to folks like me when I'm like, I understand it, but this is an expensive proposition, and it just doesn't concern me.
Right. One, it's not expensive, right? In the grand scheme of budget, money is not expensive. And the state funds other things in the city of Wilmington, millions, billions of dollars, right? When you look at the riverfront, would you rather contribute to the development of riverfront for high-end apartments, high-end restaurants, versus contributing to helping someone to come home and not reoffend?
Yes.
Right? So I think for certain people, for me, I want my tax dollars to go towards helping people, anyone who is coming home, to be able to get on the right path. Because we know what happens when people don't get on the right path. That person might then go in my car and steal my car the next day. I'd rather decrease the possibility of that happening by making sure that we're strengthening families, we're strengthening the men who are coming home. I'd rather my money go towards that than another high-end apartment.
So I don't think that the state is saying that we're going to stop supporting people that are coming home, right? We're not they're saying the transition location is going to change.
Yes, and all data shows that transitioning someone far away from home actually decreases all of the positive outcomes. So all of these great successes that the DLC is claiming that has happened because of all of the practices and things that they have done, now that you're taking them far away from their support system, you're taking them from their jobs, and even though they said they're going to provide transportation, logistically, if there's a group of 10 men who need to go back and forth to Wilmington, 2 hours to and 2 hours to and 2 hours from, one starts at 7, one starts at 8, one starts work at 9, one has to be there at 3, one has to be, the logistics in that and that really happening, I worry about that actually happening because there's reports of people who are currently there who are saying that there's a struggle with transportation, there's a struggle with work placement down there. There's actual reports from families and people who are currently at Sussex County saying that it doesn't work. So when people are currently there and saying it doesn't work and they're saying the culture is not welcoming to Wilmingtonians, right? And they feel like they're being targeted and more punitive, right, down there, not saying that Plummer Center is any better, right, but they're saying that it's worse down there and they're further away from their family and they're further away from their connections, and that when it is time for them to transition home, if they have a job down in Sussex, do you think when they move back to Wilmington, they're going to come back to Sussex and drive 2 hours every day back and forth? It doesn't allow for real long-term sustainability to happen for families and for men when we do things like that. There's no data that the DLC has presented. There is no data that I have found that supports that closing this center is going to improve, maintain, or help these men in any way.
But I think there is data that's saying closing this center is going to save Delawareans a lot of money.
I have to debate that.
Okay. That's why we're here.
Yeah.
That's
$10 million for renovation and a drop of a bucket for the state is nothing.
Is that a drop in the bucket, though?
Yeah, and compared to state money, yes. Yeah, and I'm for people over profit. I'm for people over making money. You have to find, like, there are certain things we're not dealing with. Just property. We're dealing with people, right? When you're talking about industries that deal with property, okay, let's shut it down. All right, cool. Let's shut down this warehouse. Okay. We're talking about real life people who are integrating back into our society. I don't know about you, but I'm concerned about that, right? I'm concerned about the people who are in my neighborhood. I'm concerned about how we interact with each other. I want it to be positive. I want my daughter to be able to stand at a bus stop and not be in the broad daylight for shootings to happen. I want to be able to feel safe in my neighborhood. And I know that's connected to how reentry is in our community. It's connected to a whole bunch of other things.
Plummer Center has been there for how long?
100 years, something like that.
Right, it's been there a while.
Yeah.
And when I go up North Market Street, it's kind of where it is, right?
Yeah, it's up North Market Street.
Up North Market Street. North Market Street is not, to me, looking better. Is that fair to say?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, it's not looking any better than what it, let's say, pre-COVID, post-COVID.
I would agree with that.
Okay,
yeah.
So when you're presenting to me very eloquently about why the Plummer Center should stay, when I look at it just as someone who goes up and down North Market Street, I'm not seeing any bang for my buck.
Right.
I don't.
Well, you really don't see it. The laundromat sits in front of it. It sits in the back.
But I'm saying the community.
Yeah.
Not the building.
Right.
But the community around that, right? When I go up and down Market Street, I don't see the community flourishing because the Plummer Center is putting out these great results of people within this community in the city of Wilmington. I'm not seeing that.
Right.
So when you're asking, when they're saying, hey, $10 million for repairs, it's a drop in the bucket, this here and support this and support that, we have been supporting folks coming out of the Plummer Center. We have been supporting reentry for a very long time.
I agree.
And we have been supporting that community in those efforts for a very long time.
I agree.
I'm not seeing the results that would make me stand up and beg that the Plummer Center stays open.
All right, so there's a two-part conversation. So
Okay.
One is, for me, this is what I've been saying. Two-part conversation. One, we have to keep resources. We have to keep we have to keep resources in our community, right? One, and that's the Plummer Center. Let's keep it in. I think conversation number 2 is how do we make sure a Plummer Center is effectively working? That's conversation 2 for me. Once we're able to keep the Plummer Center here, now the conversation is what is working and what isn't working? How do we revamp the program? What does it look like?
Aren't we just tired of doing that, though?
Who has done it?
Councilwoman, I mean,
I can't name one person that has done it.
I think that Delaware is not the best at.
I agree.
In regards to corrections, but I will say this: they're not the worst. Okay, they're not a Louisiana. They're not a Texas.
Yeah.
They're not a Florida. They're not an Alabama. Or God forbid a Mississippi.
Yeah, we're not.
We're not that, right? But we are doing things to help lower recidivism, and we have been doing things. And I believe that our governor wants for that to happen, and I believe that the previous governor really wanted for that to happen. But I don't think that we have to continually support projects that just aren't giving us the results because of nostalgia. Delaware is big on nostalgia. This is the way we've always done it. This is the way it looks. This is the way it is. I just don't think that this is the means in which to support it.
Right.
That's just my opinion.
No, I
get
get it. I get your opinion. So I think there's, like I said, 2 conversations. I don't think Wilmington should lose resources and buildings. I think we keep it. We figure out how it works. Sussex County is not doing great. Sussex County is not, their work release program is terrible. Right? Plummer Center's work release program isn't any better, right? So I'm not arguing of like, oh my gosh, I think the Plummer Center is more effective. What I'm talking about in argument 1 is that moving people away from their home, there's no data that shows that that supports their reentry. There's none. The DLC hasn't presented it. There's no national data that says that. And then on top of there's no data, there is nothing that says when you look at the culture of the 2 different facilities, the culture for the DLC, for Plummer Center and Wilmington is different than the culture down in Sussex County. And this is from conversations that I had with staff and conversations that I had with people who have been at both facilities. A lot of them talk about a lot of the racial things that they experience more in Sussex County. They talked a lot about the stigma of just being a Wilmingtonian that they get down and being in Sussex County, right? And I'm not saying Plummer Center is free of anything, right? That's not what I'm arguing, but what I'm saying, this is a better and safer and more data-proven option than moving them to Sussex County and where they're going to experience higher rates of racial things, stigma for being Wilmingtonian. They'll be 2 hours away from their families and friends. And then on top of that, Sussex County program ain't no better. So it's not like they're going to a situation where it's going to get worse because now they're going to the same type of work release.
So would it be better to just say, you know what, we need to come up with a better system, we need to come up with a better a location, we need to come up with a couple other things that this is better rather than saving a relic?
Right. So it's bigger. So for me, the conversation is actually pause the Plummer Center, right? So let's say we pause the conversation on the Plummer Center. It could be, let's get another building, right? It could be, let's revamp what's happening. I don't know exactly what the answer is, right? But what I'm asking is for it to not leave the city of Wilmington.
Can we do it without us costing taxpayers another dollar to deal with recidivism issues in a time where we can barely make the budget work?
What I'm thinking, when we talk about budgets and money, for me, I think it's priority. And I think we should be prioritizing keeping level 4 in Wilmington. The city and the state has the money to do it because they have the money and funding to do any other project. They'll put millions of dollars into the riverfront.
But they haven't been for fiscal year 25, nor in fiscal year 26, are they doing anything that's really big like that? So why is it that, and that's just fact, right? So there's a lot of programs that are being put on hold. There's a lot of programs that we're just not sure whether or not we're going to continue, especially when it comes to social programs and the amount of money that we're going to have to spend this year on healthcare to ensure that that Delawareans are covered. I just don't want to spend that money on people who are incarcerated.
Right.
I just don't. I just don't. I would rather spend that money on something that is more fruitful for my community. I would rather put something that, and even if we have to revisit the idea and say, hey, look, we're going to do something in Smyrna so then they can make the commute every day, or they're going to do something here, we're going to do something there. I just can no longer continue to feel good about funding projects and ideas to things that just aren't working. And I just don't see this working.
So why don't we close Sussex County? Sussex County isn't working.
I'm in favor.
Sussex County.
I'm not pro Sussex County.
No,
right?
what I'm saying is not just you, but I'm saying for people who do think that way, none of them are working. Like, they're not working, right? And that's something else I was saying. That's like conversation 2 for me. It's not working. When you talk to the families and the people who are living in the program, it is not working. And it's especially not working for Wilmingtonians because of the distance issue, because of the lack of family connections. And on top of that, they're in a system that's not working, and then they're far from home. So they have the double whammy on top of people who live down Sussex and are just in a program that's not working.
So okay, I'm going to say this, and I know the phone lines are going to light up.
Let's do it.
And I know that.
And I know we got another person here.
And I'm going to bring them on, right? But I know that social media is going to blow up too. But you know what? I'm just going to say it. How about they just don't offend? How about that? How about they just don't get locked up?
It's bigger than that.
How about they just don't get locked up?
It's bigger than that. I love your difficult advocacy.
Leave my car alone. Leave my car alone.
It's connected to so many issues.
Don't move weight. You won't go to jail.
It's not that simple. I wish life was that simple.
Okay. I wish life was that simple too. And my next guest always breaks it down to me. Even sometimes he has to use crayons because I'm not that bright. And that's Councilman Kobe Owens.
Got it.
He has been here, a constant guest on the agenda, and he's very knowledgeable in regards to this issue. Welcome, Councilman Owens.
Thank you so much for having me. Good to see you again, Councilwoman Darby. I feel like we were just together at another meeting earlier tonight.
Yes.
But it's good to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much. This is in your district.
Yes.
Right? I mean, you both are affected, but it is your district. I know that your heart is huge and you understand, but you also know that I don't hold my words, right? So why am I constantly dealing with issues of recidivism and the cost of that recidivism on plans and ideas that just don't work, Kobe? I see the Plummer Center. I know that it is an older Plummer Center. I know that it is constantly under repair and there's people there and all the help. I just honestly don't think that it's helping everything that it used to help. I don't know if that makes sense. I don't think that it's what it used to be. I don't see the need for it anymore. And I'm going to be honest with you, I don't, and let's just be open and honest, okay? I don't live in Wilmington, but I still don't want it in my backyard. I don't.
So it's not your backyard.
Well, in theory, if it leaves North Market Street,
listen,
don't move it to my backyard.
It's going to become your backyard now because now we're going to provide less. I'm going to tell you why.
No, it's
because the men
it's
coming
not coming.
home, we don't want to give them funding. We don't want to fund their reentry. So now what's going to happen is they're going to continue to offend.
They're continuing to offend now, and I'm funding their reentry.
They're going to continue to offend.
They are continuing to offend now, and I am funding their reentry.
It's going to increase.
Can I just jump in here real quick? So I think you have a very valid point when you're talking about their reoffending and everything. I think one of the things you have to look at when it comes to that is they're coming directly out of level 5. Right? That's not,
light.
That's not Plummer. No, level 5 is the top.
Top, okay.
That's Smyrna, that's Gander Hill, right? When we talk about the individuals who have been through a level 4 work release program, the vast majority of them are not refunding because they're reoffending, because they are finding the proper foundation for their lives. And it's not just them, it's the workers in there too who have been doing amazing work, actually connecting with them on a moral and passionate level. Not just one that is, okay, I'm here to clock in, clock out, but the workers in Plummer, they understand the culture. They understand that this is a lot of their last hopes, especially the individuals who are coming to the level 4 facility after doing a 20-year bid or a 30-year bid. Listen, they didn't have iPhones back then.
We're not stopping that. They're not stopping that. They're just moving it.
So they're moving it down to Sussex, right? So now you get a job up here, you have to go 2-3 hours up here, and they're saying they have the transportation abilities to get them up here on time. These are also still offenders, so they can't just stand outside their job. So you're telling me if you have 9 people who work in the city of Wilmington—
What if we give those 9 people that work in the city of Wilmington, Kobe, what if we give them electronic monitoring? Doesn't that take away the problem?
It's still going to incur a cost for the state of Delaware, right? We still have to pay for that technology.
Okay. And you have to have an address.
And you have to have an address. Now, again, Again, not everyone has an address who's going into level 4, right? That's why they're at level 4 until they're able to stabilize themselves. Not all their family want them to come straight out of jail and be with them. They have to get reacclimated to the community. I've heard numerous conversations over these last few weeks from individuals who've dealt with that, who are supervisors at their job now, work in the union, making good money, but they talk about that first year, what it took them to get to the point that they're at now, right? And how this has been a benefit for them, in that going down to a Smyrna, going down to a Sussex, right? The commissioner is saying, hey, we're going to start adding these programs here once we shut down Plummer. Why haven't you had those programs there already if they've been so successful? Which they have been, right? The issue is, and this is what I also want to correct for the record as well too, the commissioner has continuously put out that this is the oldest facility in DOC's inventory, right? No, one building there, which they do not use anymore, which even the warden said they do not use anymore, is the oldest building. That's fine. The rest of the buildings were built in the 80s. And if you were born in the 80s, I don't think that's old, right? Because I was born in the 90s. I'm still young.
Nah, that's not old.
I'm still young. So
it's a little dusty though. It's a little dusty.
So again, let's tell the full truth when it comes to that, right?
Yeah.
And again, my stance on this is always going to be shaped around those who are impacted the most, right? I've talked to our civic associations who are actually where the Plummer Center is. They want to see the Plummer Center open. They have a petition going right now asking residents, do you want to see it open? And residents are overwhelmingly saying, yes, keep it open. We don't want to see anything else go there, right? Northwest Civic Association.
So stop, hold on for a second. They made it very clear. Keep the center open. Why? Because we just don't want to see anything else going there. We don't want another apartment building. We don't want another monstrosity. We don't want a vacant lot, God forbid, because that's a whole nother problem altogether.
Or for it to sit vacant for a long time.
Right.
Yeah.
Or something crazy like that. That I completely understand. But I think that if we were to dig down, Kobe, and really ask questions of these people who are saying, if we had something better than that going in that place, would you still want the Plummer Center open? Is that fair?
No. It doesn't even have to be that building. We need level 4 in Wilmington. We don't have to use that building. I'm okay if we go to a new building that fits into the capacity, because you know what happened during COVID, right?
You are not letting COVID go.
Because they won't say it. I need them to say it, and I need them to be truthful and honest in their data. I don't like when people omit things, right?
Okay.
And they're not being truthful in their data and understanding why it decreased. Everybody was impacted by COVID, right? And we're never going to be pre-COVID again. But in understanding that we really have to, if we get another building, I'm okay with that. I'm not saying we have to use that building. I'm saying we need level 4 in Wilmington.
Okay. So Christmas has come early. It's December 10th.
Christmas.
I say Christmas.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it, right? So we're going to take our first caller live. Oh yeah, if you think you're nervous.
What they about to say?
We're going to take our first call here on the agenda. Caller, how are you?
I'm in there now.
Yes, hi, how are you? Welcome to the agenda.
Hello?
Hello.
Yes, I'm here. How you doing?
Hi, how are you? Welcome to the agenda. Thank you for being our first caller. We're talking right now, I'm with Councilwoman Darby and Councilman Owens of the Wilmington City Council, and we are discussing the Plummer Center. Would love to know your input on that.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, on record, off record, however you want to do this. You know, I'm an employee at the Plummer Center, and I've been
Thank you for your service.
I appreciate that. I've been employed for 18 years, and I hear you talking about these guys not reoffending. We have to be realistic when we talk about guys not reoffending or even guys being incarcerated. I don't know about you, but I've had family members that have been incarcerated for multiple years.
They're there now.
10, 25 plus years, and who have turned their lives around. But at the end of the day, the Plummer Center, it has been a beacon in the community for so long. For one, we've employed these guys. For two, we have not had any issues with these offenders leaving the plumber and coming back to the plumber, interrupting anything in the community. So we also need to be realistic about that. These guys go to work, they go on furloughs, they come home, they're not robbing the neighborhood, they're not interrupting the stores, they're not going in there robbing the stores, they're not in there creating any kind of disruption to the community. So why would you take something that has been proven to be successful? Not only that, we are employing guys from as far as ShopRite, that's what they talk about, to the docks. Guys are making $48, $58, $68, whatever you want to talk about as far as income, but we also have to be realistic. We're in an environment where this facility is needed. Not only needed, we have to talk about the family members that's being affected, the children that's being affected. At the end of the day, you're taking a facility out of the community that is bridging gaps for so long that has been distant for people. You got grandmothers, grandfathers, more grandmothers that's raising these kids from the women being incarcerated. We're not even talking about the women that's still incarcerated in our facilities, but we're talking about the fathers. It's affecting the fathers right now, and they're being reunited with their children. If you don't have a heart to be able to listen to that and say, you know what, that's an aha moment, then you know what? Maybe you've never had a family member. Maybe all your family.
I appreciate your call. Thank you very much. I understand where you're coming from, and again, thank you for being there and helping these young men or men in general help with their transition back in. Thank you for your call, and thank you for being the first call on the agenda. But at the same time, I think that I do have a heart for their families, but I do also think that there is some responsibility that is there. In no way have I read anything, and being a criminal justice major, knowing that prison was ever meant to be easy, right? There has to be some things and some difficulty there to stop people from offending. By no means should they be absolute. I see you cooking over there. By no means should it be torturous, but at the same time, their convenience is not high on my list. Mm-hmm. I'm just speaking for a lot of Delawareans, and I'm speaking for myself, right? The convenience of inmates and their ability to get to and from work and to make ends meet and all these other things and to be with their family, it is important. Mm-hmm. It does cause and assist with recidivism, but it is not, by no means, is it the top of my priority as a taxpayer.
Okay.
It's not. I'm not saying it's not important.
So I have a question. What is the top of your priorities?
Right
what are
now,
the top 3 things
the top of my priorities
now?
right now as a taxpayer is our education system, because I believe that directly goes into workforce. Mm-hmm. I believe the smarter that our children are, the better our education is, the better work that comes in.
And the least likely they're able to go to prison, because that's the school to prison pipeline.
That it is. I won't disagree with you one bit. I think that if we're doing all this economic development and we're bringing in companies like Merck, if you think for a second when these companies sit down and decide whether or not they're going to bring in new business, and I don't mean another warehouse at Amazon. I don't consider that new business, okay? But a corporation is going to come here and they're going to say, okay, our employees, as engineers, as whatever, what are they going to do? Like, are we going to have to put all of our employees' kids in private school because our schools are so bad? They're not safe. They're not this. They're not that.
Right.
I think that's a big draw for economic development. Also, as someone who owns a business here in the state of Delaware, I want the best employees. We don't have that. I think that it is important that we educate our students. We educate our children. And that just doesn't mean getting them to college. That means vocational resources. That is going to prevent kids, young people, youngsters, whatever you want to classify them as going to prison and stopping this cycle. The better the education, the better we can stop the cycle. Also, top of my list, I don't think that somebody needs to pay $4,000 for an apartment. I just don't, right? I think that we need to find a better way so people can actually have a home and keep their families together rather than multi-generational living or living in in hotels or whatever to make ends meet. That's absolutely ridiculous in this country. That's absolutely ridiculous in this state, right? So those are two really big things, right? Public safety is also really big for me too. It's really, really big. But
Can I ask you something?
prison, not high. Shoot.
Can I ask you something? If we could take additional $11,000 and invest it into each student in the state of Delaware.
No more
each year,
money, Kobe. I'm not paying any more money for these kids.
Why not?
I'm not paying any more money for these kids.
You wouldn't be paying any more money. We would save that money.
We are one of the highest paying states. And we are getting nothing.
I agree with you. We spend about
We are
$21,000
getting nothing.
on education
We are
per
single
student.
digits. We have the shiniest buildings for the worst schools in the city.
I don't disagree with you
You
on
can't
that.
disagree with me, Kobe,
I'm not.
because we've been in the classrooms talking to the kids together, and they're not getting it.
But you
Cursive
understand.
is a problem for a lot of these kids, Kobe, and that is absolutely ridiculous because we're paying way too much money. And I'm not sitting here and saying, oh, well, because they're black or they're this or they're in the city. I don't care. They're not getting it done.
They're
And
not
we're
getting it done because our
supporting
funding
teachers.
priorities as a state have been wrong, right? We spend more
Funding
money on
priorities,
incarceration.
we're spending the money.
We're spending
and
the
they
money
can't
on-
read.
We're spending more money on incarceration than we are in our school system, right? It's about $32,000 to house an inmate, and it's about $21,000 we spend on our students. If we can look
We're spending
at
more
ways-
than $20,000 on students.
That's the average per student.
Right, but it's more, and we're not getting it. But I'm telling you, there's schools in different areas that are getting it. Why? Because their parents kick in, their parents help, because the teachers are better, because they don't want to work in city schools. And frankly, can you blame them? Can you really blame them? Imagine this, Councilwoman Darby. You said you were talking about your daughter, right? Is your daughter in college?
She's going to college.
She's going to college,
Yeah.
even better, right?
Yeah.
And I guarantee you, Councilwoman Darby, you're going to spend some money to help her get there, aren't you?
Yes, I will.
Probably. You're going to spend a lot of money. Now, as a parent, would you want your daughter, who chooses to be a teacher, if she does, right? Would you want her in a city school after you've paid your hard-earned Councilman Darby money? Or would you want her in a better district teaching? Which one? Can you blame them for choosing the other?
I won't blame her for choosing the
You
other.
won't blame her because you're an honest person and it just makes sense.
No,
So-
it also makes sense as a parent.
As a parent of a teacher.
I don't as a parent and where I place my kids, I'm very selective in that.
Right.
I understand why someone would not want to send their kids to an inner city school, to a public school. I don't want to send my kids to Wilmington public schools. I'm going to be honest with you on that.
I agree with you.
I will work a second job.
To get
I
them
will overnight
someplace else.
stock. I will do Amazon Flex for my kids not to go to public school. I'm being, and that's what I currently do. I would do that before I allow my kids to be subjected to that,
All
right?
We got to go to the next caller.
But we do.
We got to go to the next caller. This next caller, it's got to be 2 minutes. We love you. We want you to call back again, but it can only be 2 minutes, okay?
Yes.
And please state your name. Let us know who you are. There's no anonymity here at the agenda. We need to know who you are. 10 toes down. Caller? That's fine. Kobe, when we're talking about bringing in new teachers, you are putting together legislation to help the affordability of teachers moving into the city. I think that's awesome. Mm-hmm. That is like, that's awesome. It's like we're putting together a package to bring in the best teacher. But do you feel guilty about what you're bringing them into? I mean, really. I mean, you bring these big packages, but then it's like, welcome to the Terradome.
No, because
you know what I mean? Like, what is the?
So to be honest, right, the conversation around that came out of a few things. It came out of months of research and everything, but talking to residents who currently live here in the city of Wilmington, who are educators, who work in our local schools, but they're also renters, right?
Right.
And why they know that I had no control and city council had no control over their salaries and benefits and everything, they were asking for additional help. And I felt as though one of the best ways to help an individual and also get something back as a city is help anchor our neighborhoods, right? Home ownership is an opportunity not only to build generational wealth,
I agree.
but it also brings back more commitment to your community, right? Mm-hmm. It brings it back, and at the root of that word community is unity, right? That's what we're missing.
Home ownership, generational wealth.
Yes.
Because we want our property values to do what?
Increase.
So we're going to stick a prison right there. That'll help.
The prison is already there.
The prison's there.
Right. But I mean,
And
let's
right down
just
the
be
street
honest
there's
about
no
this. Let's just be honest with you. You're talking about bringing in teachers. You're talking about bringing economic wealth. You're talking about, which is absolutely right, home ownership and all these other things. Can't you see why people don't want the Plummer Center there?
But see here, I'll counter you on that, because right 2 blocks away from the Plummer Center, some of the most expensive houses in my area are selling for $329 right now, right? And they are being sold like that, right? The first 5 are already done and sold with. So it hasn't stopped anything. When the average home in my area prior to that was going for about $250, right? So again, we have seen an increase, right? And that's with the Plummer Center currently there right now. When it comes to our education system and helping our teachers, right? City Council has taken an initiative to get more involved in that fight.
They have done yeoman's work to be involved.
We can't just look at one end of the fight. The other end is making sure that whether it's you're coming out of our school system or you're coming out of our criminal justice system, that you are able to get your life on the right track and that you are able to get a job, right? Because when you are able to provide for yourself and be sustainable on your own, that's better for us as a city, and it brings more wages back in for our city too. And I always,
with the education thing and the, you act like we're bringing them into this. No, does he feel comfortable
that you're willing to go?
Right? They live here already.
I think to get away from, do you feel comfortable bringing them into this?
I think that it's always the chicken or the egg conversation, right?
That egg is hatched a long time ago.
Like,
and it's not
no,
getting
honestly,
any
it's the
better.
chicken egg conversation. Do we wait for our public school systems to get better to then create programs for more teachers to become, or like, do we? No, I'm saying, which one do you do first? And I think you have to do all of them at the same time. So what Kobe did, I think, is important, right? But I don't think
I'm just playing with him.
No. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think what he's doing is important, but it just can't happen in a silo. Like all the other things, that the redistricting, and not just redistricting, but redistricting, and then looking at how do we have
redistricting?
Yeah, not just redistricting.
Did you say redistricting? She said it. I didn't bring it up. I'm interested to know y'all's opinion on that, especially from them creating the city district. Or is that what we're calling
Newcastle County?
So it's a Northern Newcastle County district. There's the River Plan, which is, I think, is useless. And then you have the Metropolitan Wilmington District, which combines Red Clay and Brandywine.
Right.
And just this Monday, there was a meeting
Town
held.
hall. I heard it didn't go well.
No, it was filled with nothing but racial and dog whistle racism, and people saying, we don't want those kids. We don't have those kids now. We don't want them anymore. Or it's us versus them. That's all you heard. And you go back and you look. We just celebrated Ruby Bridges Day. It's the same talking points that they were using back then and there. And Brandywine School District should be ashamed of themselves. And the school board member who's supposed to represent the city of Wilmington, Alice Najimi, you should be disappointed in yourself on the comments that you made about the kids you're supposed to represent in Harlan and NPS. that is a issue. Wilmington's power has been diluted time and time and time again. And it's sad when things like that happen, right? But right now we have an opportunity to actually make some change. And it's going to make a lot of people uncomfortable, but you have to get uncomfortable with change. And that's where we have to come together as not only city leaders, but working with our state leaders and working with our community to really push for this change. Because for far too long, our kids have been subjected to a system that isn't just broken, it's trash.
I think trash is
Nice.
that's a nice one.
I know you're talking points.
I have never, ladies and gentlemen, seen Councilwoman Owens this passionate about an issue, and I'm glad that it's in there. I knew it was in there. It's coming out, and I'm not happy about any of the options, right, that were presented, right? I don't get a warm fuzzy. I don't see one of the options that I read and like, that's it. That's the one.
Yeah,
that's the one. But you know what? You know what? That's what happens when you let government come up with the options. When you let the courts come up with the options. When you let these committees and all these other things. Don't get me wrong. I love the committees and they're doing all these great things. And yada, I know I'll get an email about that one. But it seems as though the community should be more involved in this. I think that we would have better options, right? I see the options that we have now as very generic, right? And they kind of have to be, because you got to come up with a couple different ways. You can't have a pentagon. Everything needs to be square, right? So I get it, but can you see, I'm not sure if this is the one that makes you come across the table or not, right? But can you see where people are reluctant to bring in certain students into their communities and problem schools, right? And can you just see their point? Can you see their point? If the numbers, if the numbers weren't saying what they were saying, right? Let's be honest, the numbers, and I know they can be skewed and they can be this, but can't you just kind of see their point? Their way of discussing it is poor, but when you're trying to make your community stronger, you're trying to bolster an education system, can you see where they're coming from though?
No, because a lot of the things that they talked about, the discipline.
And I didn't hear the
I once we finished our finance meeting, I went to that meeting, and I stood in there till the end of public comment. Again, one of the things you kept hearing, they're going to be disruptive, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. But we also know that in this same exact system, that an African-American kid could do the exact same thing as their white counterpart.
Absolutely.
And will be punished at a higher rate, right? That's why, that kid's been suspended so many times. Yeah, but little Timmy got an opportunity to sit in his relaxation zone and refocus himself because he has ADHD.
Right, he has an excuse.
But then the same African-American student is deemed a problem child because they don't want to deal with them, right? So that's another issue. Also, let's be honest, you have some students who don't have a teacher that looks like them until they go to college. That happens all the time. You also, let's circle back, because in Brandywine School District, you had a principal who said the N-word multiple times, confirmed it to the BSU advisor that he said it by saying it to her as well too, and said, well, the kids say it, so I can say it. A white principal that the school district then thought it was okay to keep him in place and over black students. So that's the disrespect that they have had for our black students in Brandywine School District, right? And it was just highlighted by a lot of the comments by some of the parents, not all of them, but it was highlighted by a lot of them.
Okay, so tell me how it's going to get better by choosing one of these plans. I'm ready.
Well, we had conversations earlier. I think it has to be redistricting and, right? Yeah. I don't think redistricting alone, like, hey, we're just going to change the boundary lines. And I think it has a few benefits, right? we don't have to worry about our kids being split up between 4 different districts. I think that alone is troublesome, right? I think when you have maybe 1 or 2, you're able to unify the curriculum a little bit better, have more consistency, which I believe there's some outcomes in that. Which we're not doing
now, not just in the city of Wilmington, but throughout the state. There's several different curriculums, just a mess.
Yeah, so I believe in that, in redistricting, which I think is great, but it has to be redistricting and, right? So how do we redistrict and deal with behavioral issues? How do we do academics? How do we deal with teacher appreciation and pay and treatment? Like, I think it has to be all of those things addressed with the redistricting, because just like we got the new building down over East Side, right? Them kids still acting up the same way they were in the old building.
You said that, I did.
Right? So big shiny buildings are nice. Restructuring systems are nice, right? Making it look nice, making it sound good.
So the desk didn't have an issue with, like, the desk didn't cause them to...
They had got a new building, but didn't have a permanent principal there for, what, a year and a half? Right, you're setting our kids up to fail.
Yeah.
They wouldn't do that at any other of their schools. And another thing, everyone who keeps saying that, oh, pitting all your kids in one same school district doesn't work. It works in Woodbridge, it works in Cape, it works in Capitol, it works in Christina, that all have major cities all in one school district. It keeps your kids together. Everyone's on the same curriculum. So that way we can start working from there. But again, like you said, this isn't, like Councilwoman Darby said, this isn't just a one thing. This isn't one step. There's multiple things going on right now. At the same time that Reading and the Wilmington Learning Collaborative are doing their work, you also have a task force that's working on restructuring our public funding for our education system, right? You have all these things that are working to actually get to the root cause of what's failing our kids right now, and that we're burning money on right now.
Since this system has been failing, we shouldn't fund it.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
Okay. We should not fund kids.
Don't threaten me with a good time. we have a comment from Tony Stans on Facebook. Why is it that we want those kids, or we don't want to help those people from reentry from all we talked about tonight? That's the biggest issue, is passing the buck and passing on people for the sake of business. Some may agree. Some at this table may agree.
I may agree.
Some of us at this table may agree, but I would say thank you. First of all, I want to say thank you, Tony Stans, for your comments. I appreciate it. Thank you for putting your name with it too, because people are going to say good point or not a good point at all. But I would say to that, there has to come a line, Councilwoman Darby, there has to come a line where we're just saying enough is enough when it comes to funding prisons and
you sound like an abolitionist to me.
No.
I think we might align more than you think.
I think that is enough. Enough is enough, and I am a very conservative Democrat, but at the same time, I'm not. I know how to survive difficult times, right? And surviving difficult times, especially financially, we're not going to spend it on things that aren't going to give us any revenue in return. And I understand that, oh, well, you know, by the inmates working in the community and whatever, but I mean, let's be honest. I mean, what are they really, like, what job, right? I'm excited for the folks that can work down at the dock and that they can get a job through reentry that has a pension, that has excellent union benefits, that they can do something that's actually making their minds work and doing all these great things. Yes, right? But I mean, when it comes down to the numbers, we had Lydia York on earlier this week, and we were talking about the things going on down in the port, and when she's saying they're just not getting the numbers that they want to in regards to workers down there at the port.
At the point,
right?
Yeah, I agree.
So why am I going to say that these folks that are coming out of the Plummer Center, oh, they're all going to go down the port and they're all going to make a lot of money and they're all going to do this? That I can support. But when it comes down to it, some of them are going to be working at ShopRite. Some of them are going to be working
of course.
menial jobs and everything else. I don't need to spend millions of dollars for their success. I'm just being honest with you. For you to bag groceries, I don't need to spend $10, $20 million.
It's deeper than bagging groceries. They have to adjust to how to start an email account.
Okay, well, we have another comment from Facebook, Ms. Tanisha Thomas. Please don't deflect from the truth and what's really happening. The Plummer Center is set to close on March of 2026, which is true, and the community is supporting that it stays there. And another comment, we love the kids, of course, but the reality is their parents are in the system and in this community. I think what she's trying to say is the parents have some responsibility in this, right? I think that's what she's trying to say. Cody, you seem like you're stewing over there. Come on, let me have it. Let me have it.
And parents also need support and assistance. So parents who are incarcerated, parents on substance use, parents who are unhoused, we have to have those services and supports in play to support the kids. We got to support the family. It's like a holistic thing. So if we're able to get a dad a job at ShopRite, teach them how to create an email account. Some of them don't know what to wear at an interview. Some of them don't even know what to say at an interview, right? They need that development. And mental health. So one guy was telling a story about his son coming home, and he came straight home. He didn't go to a level 4. He said he wished his son did. His son came home and confined himself to his room because he did not know how to, there was a sudden adjustment to the real world. Right? His son, he said he felt like his son should have had a better transition, and a level 4 would have helped him with that, because level 4, they'll give you like weekend passes, you know, they'll ease it on you. They'll be like, okay, you can go do this, you can go do that. They'll ease the transition on you, which was helpful and could be helpful for a lot of families. And he talked about that for his son, especially with the mental health, because and then I remember you made a comment earlier about prisons and making it, you know, don't want to make it too convenient for them. But when you look at what other countries are doing.
We're dealing with the United States. We're not going to compare the American prison system to Sweden or any of the Netherlands, where they're all getting jobs, working on ships and hugging each other and living with their families. And we're not doing that.
Okay.
We live in the United States.
They pay less.
We live in the United States, and unfortunately, this is what we have. I'm not saying what they're doing is wrong. They're successful.
Yes.
But we cannot replicate that. That is a dream. Okay? We cannot have as many people as we have in the prison industrial complex that what we do and expect that we're going to have the same results as the Netherlands in regards to recidivism.
But why do we have so many people in our incarceration, who are incarcerated right now?
So there's a couple different reasons, right? This is Kerwin's world. This isn't anybody else's world, right? So I think that we have systemic racism. I don't care if you get mad, that's what it is, right? It's systemic racism. We have a justice system that is financial based, right? You can do something, and dependent upon, let's just take away black and white and everything else, right? If my attorney is awesome, very Johnny Cochran-ish, okay, I'm gonna get off. And if I have a public defender, not taking away from public defenders, Kevin Konecko, I'm just saying it may not go well. I'm sorry, was that too soon?
Kevin is a good fighter.
Kevin is a great friend of mine. We work together. I know him
Kevin
well.
is a good fighter. But I will say, it's a tale of two systems, right? It's not a tale of right or wrong. It's a tale of, are you poor or are you rich, right?
Right.
And this system is the same system that has failed us, that has set up to incarcerate overwhelmingly African Americans, or it's the same system that has been put in place in our education system to make sure we fail there. They count how many beds they need based off our third grade scores, right? So if you increase the third grade scores, you have less beds, but they don't want to do that.
Can you knock the statistic? Is it accurate?
Maybe
it's a system.
It's
an early indicator.
So it's an early indicator, but yet we're still funding shiny buildings for schools that don't work.
I agree. No, I agree with you.
That's a state issue. I'm city. And on a city level, what I'm focused on is making sure that we are doing something about that system. Instead of looking at those third grade numbers and saying, let's bank more beds, we should be looking at that system and say, what are we doing wrong, and how the heck do we fix it?
Let's create more support systems for the holistic family.
I have another question for you.
Yes.
We have a Facebook user that did not want to use their name. How is a level 4 prison a mecca of reentry? It's a halfway house. halfway in prison and halfway outside. That's not even a thing anymore now that we have GPS monitors.
One, the majority of people who come
Thank
home.
you for your comment.
Of course, yes.
Person with no name.
Yes, everyone cannot go home. We are in a housing crisis. People who are home don't have a home.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Like, and the people who have homes are struggling to stay in it, okay?
Right.
We are in a housing shortage.
Don't move weight.
Yeah, so when you...
don't move weight. You won't go to jail. You won't have to worry about housing. Don't move weight.
But you gotta afford your house.
You can't even afford a house right now. Right now in the city of Wilmington, under this former administration,
you gotta afford your
saw the
housing.
highest rental increases in the city across the board.
Then don't get caught.
But hold on, I'm not just talking about the new buildings that are going up. I'm talking about all rent across the city of Wilmington. A house that hasn't been touched, renovated, or remodeled in years.
Kobe,
saw
you're
the
not going
rent
to get an argument
increase.
from me out of this. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Right. No, but honestly, everyone
I think
doesn't
city
have an
council
address.
needs to come up with policy to help with the cost of living in the city.
We tried some of that.
Oh,
We tried rent stabilization.
It was a close vote.
let's deal with that.
It was a close vote.
Don't sit up here and wax poetic about the cost of living in the city when the two people that I think can just do it.
I tried. They said no.
I
I had rent stabilization. We did the meetings. We put it up, and my city council members said no.
It failed by one vote.
I need.
Sell harder.
Okay.
We're going back to a Facebook comment. Sarah Giles, hello. Why are you downplaying the success of a man getting a job at ShopRite? We did not. It's a step up. They have to start somewhere. I'm not downplaying the success of getting a job at ShopRite. I'm just not willing to pay millions of dollars to help that person get the job at ShopRite. I believe we actually have a call. Now, whether the call will be there and the person will be able to talk to us, that's a whole nother thing. So before I can see that you're upset about the ShopRite comment, we're not talking about the Kenny family. We love the Kenny family. They do a great job. Thank you, Kenny family. But I just can't spend millions of dollars that we don't have currently to help with that. Caller, welcome to the agenda.
Yes. I think I hear someone.
Okay. So going back to the ShopRite job, right?
We need more like that.
We need more than that.
So Chris Kinney and them have done a great job
They're
at creating opportunities for those who have been previously incarcerated. We need more business owners willing to take that step and welcome them back into the community. That's what we need more of right now.
Right. And I think that a lot of companies, a lot of corporations, a lot of Delaware businesses need to take a chance on some of these folks trying to come back in the community. The Department of Labor has a great program where they actually have security bonds that, to the best of their ability, I think the max is 50 or 60K. DOL, please send a Facebook message to let me know how much it is, where they bond the people that are mainly reentry folks coming back into the workforce up to that extent to help ease the burden and stress of bringing in someone like that. So we have those we have those things. We're paying for that already, right? So I don't see, I see your point, but I think a lot of that needs to go. I don't think that can be solved through legislation. I don't think that can be solved through legislation. I think a lot of that needs to be solved by businesses willing to take a shot at that. Now,
I agree.
This is something that you all love to do, spend money.
Yeah.
Now, can we incentivize businesses more to take that shot? I think that's a possibility, right?
No.
Can we help them for, say, hey, look, this person is going to make what's minimum wage now, $15, $16 an hour. As a state, we'll take half, right? So the employer now is only paying, and on top of that, we'll help them with health benefits. We'll keep them on the state system in regards to health benefits and what have you. Is just off the top of my head. Dover.
No, definitely.
That's something that
definitely
you can do
things
to
that
help
could be done to
right?
help. But I just think this conversation around Plummer is, for me, is really two-pronged, like we've been talking about. We have to keep it in Wilmington. I think Wilmington, we have to stop extracting resources and things out of our community, I think Plummer Center can become a very effective resource. I know that work release right now, a lot of, like, honestly, when you look at the numbers, you know, it's not a lot of men who are on work release. And that's the second part of my conversation after keeping it in Wilmington. It could be a new building, it could be that location. Keep it in Wilmington. Second part of that conversation is, how do we make sure we create an effective work release program so that your taxpayer dollars actually is effective, right? Not for a few, but for the majority.
Right.
So I agree with you on that. Like, I'm not going to deny the numbers. I'm not going to act like Plummer is like the Mecca, like someone said, like the Mecca of all Meccas. But what I do want to say is people need it. When they come home, they don't have an address. Or if they do come home, they're just not ready to go home and they need a transition before being hit with real world stuff, right? Those things, we have to have those in place, because the alternative is, what's going to happen with the majority of men who don't get those services?
They're gonna commit a crime yet again.
Okay, doesn't that cost us more to keep on?
How about they just not commit a crime? How about they just not do it? I mean, why do we skip over that? Let me ask you a quick question. Who voted no on city council for rent stabilization?
Who
Go ahead and
voted
say it. Now,
no?
Kobe, don't frown now. If you're going to look in the camera and tell a board member that they ought to be ashamed of themselves in your grandmama's voice and finger.
Hey, let me go down. I can go down the list.
So you can say this quite easily.
Kobe Owens' first district was a yes. Shané Darby, second district, yes. Xanthia Oliver, third district, was a no.
Ooh.
Michelle Harley was a yes.
Sounds like receipts to me.
Yep, Michelle Harley was a yes. Fifth district is Christian Willauer, yes. Sixth district was Yolanda McCoy. She was a present, which is basically a no. She basically said no. Seventh district, Chris Johnson, he was not present. He was absent that day. Eighth district, Nathan Fields, he was a no. Maria Cabrera at large was a no. Councilmember Alex Hackett, he was present and he said yes. And then we also have Councilmember James Spadola, he was a no. Councilmember Letitia Bracey at large was a no. So those are all the people who voted no. And of course, Trippy Congo, he was a yes, our president. So we did not have enough votes for rent stabilization at all. It didn't pass.
Sounds like a hurt piece. It really does.
I was hurt, but let me tell you, that's really one thing that I found in my research when we were doing rent stabilization, which is a really cool fact. In the 90s, the city did a referendum vote around residency. Mm-hmm. So the community got to vote on if they wanted residency to exist for employees of the city. The answer was yes. The community came out and said yes. So I said, we do referendum votes? No one told me this was a tool in my city council toolbox. So I started doing research, and the state allows the city of Wilmington to do referendums. So there is a group right now who is working on doing a referendum. They have to collect signatures. They'll get the signatures once they hit that number. I think they're trying to get to like 4,000, I think maybe 4,000 registered voter signatures. They'll be able to trigger that public vote to happen so that people can vote on rent stabilization. So 4,000 votes is a lot, so it might take them a while to be able to get those signatures, but they are working on that currently. I also tried to pass a piece of ordinance to clarify the process, because the state is very vague. It's like, you can do it and this is the process, but it doesn't give like details, like on the city level, who do we turn the signatures into? Well, what does this process look like? I try to clarify it. I put up a resolution, an ordinance to do that. It got voted down. So so what's gonna happen is, as they do this, they're gonna follow state code, but it's still not clear on a lot of things. But I am creating a web page based on state code to at least try to give people some guidance on being able to do that, because what I'm thinking is, I don't want 30 years from now another Shané to be like, you could do referendum votes? Like, no, I want it to be somewhere permanent so they know that it can happen, and it's a tool in their toolbox, and the public can know that if they collect enough signatures, they can vote on whatever they want.
Okay, last caller for this evening. She got that all in, all right? Our last caller on the line. Caller.
It's coming.
Oh, okay. 30 seconds. Tell us, what do you want to see happen for the Plummer Center?
Yes, I want a pause on the closure to happen. I want a real community conversation to happen about what happens to level 4 in the city of Wilmington. Is that a new building? How do we revamp it? How do we make sure that work release is an effective program at Plummer Center in the city of Wilmington?
Councilman Owens,
I think
30 seconds.
Councilwoman Darby put it excellent. My last thing is we have to continue to put our community at the root of our policy making and policy decisions. And that's what this goes back to.
Okay, I love it. Thank you so.
We got caller.
Hey, caller.
From
Oh, never mind. Brandon Fletcher. Hung up. He hung up.
he hung up?
Yeah, Brandon Fletcher.
Okay. No problem. Tonight, we talked about so much. I want to thank everybody that called in, that left their comments. Thank you. We appreciate it. We talked about a place most people in Delaware will never see, but a lot of families in Wilmington depend on. A brick building by the river, where men who already got sentenced are trying to get something back. A job, a paycheck, a visit with their kids, a soft landing, some may say, or a hard time. On paper, closing, the Plummer looks clean. Utilization rates, capital costs, millions saved, capacity shifted somewhere else. The spreadsheet says the math works. But when the employees lose reliable workers, when a grandma has to drive an hour and a half to see their son, when a kid in the 2nd district goes from a short trip across town to a long trip downstate, the math doesn't math anymore. This is what the policy actually is. It's not a press release from Dover, but the distance between a family and the person they're trying to keep connected to. Not just where the beds are, but where the chances are. You can call Plummer inefficient, outdated, or inconvenient. But what you can't do, is pretend that moving reentry out of Wilmington doesn't move opportunity out of Wilmington with it. So pay attention to what happens next. Don't just listen to what gets said about public safety. Listen to who never gets mentioned when the cameras are off. Listen to budget hearings, Watch who fights for this place, who shrugs, and who decides what balance sheets matter more than people coming home as a whole. We thank you so much for joining us on this special edition of The Agenda. We look forward to seeing you next week right here on The Agenda.